2021, Texas lawmakers passed legislation which made it a felony to steal, buy, or sell stolen catalytic converters. KTRE's Tyree White explains the new details on a new law that can now provide more accountability.
Before this legislative session, stealing, buying, or selling stolen catalytic converters was already a felony. Now, Senate Bill 224 will make it a crime to just have one in your possession. Doing so can result in up to a 6 months to 2-year state jail sentence and a maximum $10,000 fine. Owner of Texas Muffler and Automotive, Josh Peterson, says almost every week he replaces catalytic converters for drivers who have had theirs stolen.
Most of the catalytic converter repairs that we do are because they've been stolen. Sometimes they'll cut a fuel line or another wiring harness that's adjacent to the converter whenever they're making these cuts. And it causes a lot of extra cost just in addition to the converter itself.
Peterson says criminals are able to quickly use a saw to cut the converter out from up under your vehicle, costing you anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 in damage. Victims may never know until they start their car and hear something different.
Yeah, the victim has no idea until they get in and their vehicle's loud instead of being quiet.
Angelina County Sheriff Tom Selman says that catalytic converter thefts have been a problem.
Catalytic converter thefts are a huge problem, and they're very expensive to replace, so they are a target for thieves, and we do have a lot of theft of catalytic converters from vehicles in our area.
But Selman believes this law can offer some relief.
We do stop people that have catalytic converters in their possession, but we have no way of tracing those back to a vehicle unless there's just been a recent theft in the area. So the change in the law will help us combat that crime more effectively.
Tyree White, KTRE, East Texas, News 9.
Now, one of the best ways to protect your car from catalytic converter theft is to park in well-lit areas. Senate Bill 224 is effective immediately.